For one last time this season, at least, we're here to get you in the know ahead of Ipswich Town's upcoming fixture. We are Seb and Rich. This is the pre-match show on Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. Welcome to the pre-match show, Ipswich v West Ham edition. Joining me, Seb Brown, and I'm going to give you a platform to vent a little bit. You were at Leicester last week. We've been quite chilled and quite pragmatic, I think, about this season, which has been challenging. But when you hear the stats that were recited on the Flagship show, and you were there in person on Sunday and watched us lose to a pretty crappy Leicester side, is there anything that you want to get off your chest, Seb?
I think the guys on Flagship nailed it, to be honest. It was an incredibly disappointing day. Look, this season hasn't gone well. It hasn't been fun for an awful lot of the time, but you know, you want to at least go down the least. We called it the battle to be less crap last week, didn't we? That was kind of the plan. It's worth 3 million quid a place or whatever it was, and yeah, the performance wasn't great. I thought a lot of players were almost playing as individuals, and Leicester were really poor. You know, we kind of allowed the Vardy factor to kind of creep into the game. He had a couple of chances before he inevitably opened the scoring, and Leicester were poor, but we were just as poor. I know the stats will say, was it most shots we've had so far in a game this season, most touches in the opposition box so far this season, whatever. The attacking stats look good, but didn't pass the eye test for me. It was a frustrating day, and it kind of summed up the season. You know, you kind of got your hopes up. This might be a chance, a bit like we're discussing West Ham away earlier in the season, Everton at home. These games where we kind of thought we've got a chance of getting something today. It was one of those that just petered out, and you know, to take 2 points off Southampton and Leicester from the season kind of sums up where we are. And it's done. It's gone. Hopefully we can put West Ham to the sword on Sunday and end the season with another home win and a bit of momentum going into the summer instead.
Yeah, it does feel like a confidence booster would be nice for everyone. I think everyone starting to feel a little bit more apprehensive about the summer and the season to come. But I think we're going to blank sheet of paper it. We're going to forget the season that's gone and try and pretend West Ham is a one-off game that, you know, there's no consequence, win, lose or draw really. So let's try and maximize it and try and squeeze as much joy out of the remaining Premier League campaign as we can. Hello to the chat. Good to have you with us. Paul is first up. One last time in the Premier League before we return to be told about players we've never heard of. Exactly. That's why we aim to serve, Paul. Best show of the week, he says. Not his words. Bless you, Paul. Thank you for that. Onwards to the Championship, he says. David, again, calling us the A-team. Look, a lot of love. I think we should try and be grateful and appreciative tonight, Sam. Let's bring positivity. Whether the season deserves it, whether performances merit it, who cares? Let's have some warm, fuzzy feeling to get into the summer with. Evening to AD, he's with us too. Tim, down in the southwest, good to have you with us. Gary, I think, summing it up pretty well. Please. He asked 3 times. Let us sign off with a win. But Neil, straight off the back, Seb, Tim Robinson, the ref on Sunday, the Premier League, twisting the knife one more time. Do you want to remind folk where we encountered Tim Robinson? At least one more significant game than the other, I think, in the season. Do you want to remind folk?
Yeah, you told us in the green room. I saw the comment that Neil put on the screen, and immediately straight away, obviously, he was the referee at the Leicester home game that didn't give the penalty when it was merely a coming together, apparently, from the Leicester player. I forgot who it was, and Connor Chaplin. You said he's refed us 3 times, and we have a 0% win rate when he has been the man in the middle. So hopefully that will change. But yeah, unfortunately, folks, he's the Leicester penalty denier.
Might be fun though, guys. Might be fun. Trevor, any side other than us or Southampton would have beaten Leicester. Yeah, probably fair. Maybe Southampton. And I think Southampton lost them a few weeks before, didn't they? So we couldn't say that. Streakies with us. 42nd of the season. Full house. It's been a blast despite the results. There we are, finding the positivity. That's what we want. Neil's with us as well. Good to see you guys live. Back live. He says, thank you, Neil. Yeah, we had a couple of weeks off, didn't we? Trying to balance watching some live sport and acknowledging that it feels like every week we're going in the trenches a little bit, doesn't it, Seb? So sometimes just having a bit of an easy, chilled version of a pre-record sometimes is good for us. But we are happy to see you all. I'm aware there's a technical glitch with Twitter, so hopefully folk are finding their way over to YouTube. Otherwise, this going live is all for naught, or at least we've got a good collection of loyal subscribers here with us on YouTube. Stevie, one positive in the season where every trophy has been won by a team with an association with a bird. Norwich have won. Sweet FA. There you go. Long may that continue. Good to see Colin here. Hope you're recovering, Colin. Hope you're well. Great to see you, Lynn and Neil. As long as we have lineup quiz and FPL, I'm happy. I can make no commitments on either, Neil. Of course, no, we will follow our usual routine and agenda and absolutely get your criticism in of my FPL stat. My FPL campaign's kind of gone like Ipswich Town's campaign, really, hasn't it? Said more about that later on. And Rob, blimey, O'Reilly, £18 on the super chat. We had someone else who did the super chat after the event last week, Seb. Do you want to
Tess Broad did one again. Tess is a very kind offline kind of super chat every now and again. It pops up through from her. So I just want to say a massive, massive thank you for all the donations across the season. And thank you to Rob as well. And thank you to everybody who's done one of these. It's really appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. Thank you, Tess. And if you want to do likewise, there is a button in the chat box in YouTube, but a like, a thumbs up, a 5-star rating on podcast app of choice is very much appreciated. In the spirit of appreciation, Seb, I do want to say some thank yous. We usually leave it till the end of the podcast, but I'm going to do it very quickly now because there's some people whose names need recognition and have been really supportive of the podcast this season. So I hope folk will indulge me I'll do this as quickly as I can, 30 seconds. At Ipswich Town Football Club, Theo Benworth, Carol Sinclair, Andy Warren, Howard Bloom, and the Foundation, Dan Palfrey. The Kings of Anglia, EADT, Ross Halls. Our friends at Atwell's, Joe, Adrian at One Stop Badges, Peter at Innovation Labs, Matt at All About Hearing, and Luke and Matthew at Brett Vale, Jack at Talk Sport, Lewis Reaver, Integral Music, Ed Lay from the band Editors, Matthew J. Wood, and our friends at Mazzala Designs, Richard, Steve, Kevin, and Andy from Call Me Ted, whose exhibition is running all the way through to Sunday's game. So get in there in advance. Really grateful for get a preview of the Ed Sheeran print last week, which I now have behind me. Doing fantastic work this week in the community. Call Me Ted, and had a really great season. So do give them your support one last time before that the exhibition kind of closes down for the summer. I mean, anyone here who's listened, who's watched, who's subscribed, who's given us a 5-star rating, who's got involved in the live chat, who's done a super chat, anyone who's commented on a video, anyone who's joined us and continued the discussion on Telegram, anyone who's got a Blue Monday badge, anyone who wants one but still doesn't have one, there is still time. Do not worry about that. And obviously all of our friends in the Blue Monday team, Ben, Dave, Mikey, Joe and Craig, and of course my best mate Seb. Every week we get to have a bit of a chat about football. Win, lose or draw, it's always a good time. So thank you, Seb, and thank you everyone for getting involved. And enough mushiness, let's get down to business, shall we, Seb? A bit of news this week. Do you want to talk about the Player of the Season's awards? And do you, for once, want to shout out, as sponsored by Blue Monday, Lucy O'Brien, because she's had a good week?
Yeah, very much so. So it was the awards, was it Tuesday night at Milsom's, wherever it was they did it, and Dara O'Shea and Sophie Peskett won the respective men and women's player of the year. Young players, as you just mentioned, Lucy O'Brien, sponsored by Blue Monday, won the women's vote, and Liam Delap obviously won the male vote. Now, Dara O'Shea, I mean, you can comment on Sophie Peskett and Lucy O'Brien. Dara O'Shea has been remarkably consistent all season. I know Liam Delap probably gets the headlines with the numbers and the sexy stuff, should we call it, with the goals, etc. But let's be fair, Dara O'Shea's probably been a 7 most weeks, whereas Liam Delap has had kind of, ups and downs across the campaign. So fully deserved. Great to see. He's shown leadership when Sam Morsey's been out of the side. He's been captained, and presumably next season that will continue if he stays and doesn't move on in the summer. So a well-worthy awards. This isn't the supporters vote. That will presumably be announced at some point, maybe at the game on Sunday or in the preceding days. That will be slightly different to this one. But yeah, fair play to all 4 winners. And Sophie Peskett's numbers have been absolutely incredible so far this season. It's finished obviously this season, and Lucy O'Brien a worthy winner as well.
100%, yeah. Sophie Peskett, golden boot from right wing for the whole league, the Southern Premier Division League, probably the best player in the whole division. So no surprise her picking up that one. And yeah, I forgot to thank our friends at Blue Monday and all of my thank yous who have supported our sponsorship of Lucy O'Brien, who's had a stellar season herself, young player of the season, as Seb mentions. And I think possibly in the top assist maker, or definitely in the top 3, as in the top 5 goal scorers as well. Had a fantastic season, and really excited to see what she can do a level up. So yeah, congratulations to all the winners. And we'll who are you expecting to win the supporters player of the season, Seb?
I think it'll be Liam Delap, won't it? I think for me, if I was voting, I haven't seen. I must have missed the voting somewhere. I'd be voting for Dara O'Shea, given the consistency. And like I say, Liam Delap has had a few peaks and a few troughs, but I think Delap will probably end up taking that award, and deservedly so. You know, he scored 12 goals in a struggling side. Most of those he's had to create of his own. He's going to go off into the sunset in the next couple of weeks. We'll wish him well. He'll get a big money move somewhere, maybe not to Man United now after last night's result in the Europa League final. But yeah, we'll wish him well. But I'd imagine he will probably walk away with the award. Can you see anybody else challenging him other than Dara O'Shea?
No, not for the supporters one. I don't think. I think it'll be Delap. Quite, and fair enough. But there's a lot of love for O'Shea in our chat. Streaky says O'Shea for his player of the season. Stevie mentioned that Dara spoke about next season in his interview. Hopefully, a sign that he's going nowhere. Colin agrees with that. O'Shea for me. Neil voted for Daryl O'Shea too. So there you go. Stevie thought O'Shea would do well for us, but he surprised me. He's consistently been our best player. Irvin supporting O'Shea as well. So a lot of love there. So maybe it'll be a closer run thing than we think. And CV chucking in Kayusta as an outsider. Who knows? Final bit of news. Ipswich Town fans supporting food banks. Doing another a great supporter of the podcast, and we've really been proud to support what they've been doing as well, and they're doing it a collection for one last time this season as well, aren't they, Seb?
Yeah, last one from 1 p.m. until 3:30. Usual collection points, sort of opposite Planet Blue around the Saralf area or in the fan zone. All details can be found on Twitter or X at ITFC_FSF. One last time, please, if you can, dig deep. Recommendations of what to bring can be found on their homepage on Twitter. A really, really great cause. I presume they'll be keeping it going next season. And as we've always said on this show with this kind of feature, that when football fans come together like this, they can do real good. So if you can, please do give generously.
Yeah, and West Ham fans join in as well. Let's talk West Ham, or is it West Ham? Have I got to call West Ham?
West Ham.
No H in it, is there? Crap season, really, by their standards, isn't it? Let's call it what it is. I mean, we can point fingers at ourselves all we want, but the amount of money spent in the summer, the scale of the club having won the Europa League. Is it the Europa or the Europa Conference?
Europa Conference.
Whatever that competition used to be. In theory, everything was there for a really strong season, and it's just not worked out, as it said. And everyone's going to point fingers potentially at the managers. We'll talk about those later on. But we talked about the away game there and the lack of a soul to the London Stadium. It just kind of feels like decisions are being made for corporate reasons rather than, West Ham used to be a really great club in a big club, obviously, but still had that community and that feel to it. You and I've done Upton Park, the bowling ground, and yeah, it just feels a little bit corporate, dare I say, at the moment. But yeah, we'll talk about Potter and as it pertains to next season. But what's your state of the nation on West Ham? West Ham.
You summed it up. Crap. I think they've gone under the radar a little bit because of the seasons of Spurs and Man United. A lot of the kind of media focus has been on those two, but West Ham have had, by their standards, a pretty appalling season. Let's be honest. It's not worked out. David Moyes kind of dithered with him towards the end of the season, a bit like us. I think we referenced it back in the September-October show when we were kind of parting ways with Mick McCarthy. It went on a little bit too long with uncertainty. And then I do remember discussing the transfer window they had last summer, and I think I said, or maybe we both said it, it was a pretty decent window on paper and looked a bit underrated given the kind of quality of player they bought in, but it's just not worked out at all, has it? And now they've got this kind of dynamic where Graham Potter's obviously taken over. Julian Lopetegui was sacked in early January, and he's now got to mould this squad that is a kind of hodgepodge of some players from David Moyes, some players from Julian Lopetegui, some players he will want to kind of bring in. The only business done in January was loan, so he's going to have a pretty successful window to try and get people into to implement his very kind of obvious style of football, which we know is, you know, kind of high possession and sort of slower kind of tempo than a David Moyes side, which looks to go a little bit direct. And the fans aren't happy with him. There have been boos and chants of sack the board. The Athletic are reporting bust-ups in the dressing rooms between players rather than between the manager. The technical director is leaving, isn't he? The guy that fell out with David Moyes at the end of last season, announced in February he'll be moving on at the end of the season. So yeah, it's not a happy home life. It's not been a great season. And I think if I was putting money today on the first managerial sacking of next season, I think I would have Graham Potter and probably Ruben Amorim, but Graham Potter probably very high at the top of that list, because I just don't think that squad is built to do what he wants to do, and I'm not sure the fan base has the patience to do that.
Interesting. Well, we'll come back to Potter later on, because I am going to disagree with that statement, respectfully, of course. But we'll talk more about Potter later on. As much as we've been bemoaning their season, and as much as it appears to be a huge amount of dysfunction on and off the field, they are still miles clear of us, aren't they?
Yeah, despite the fact we've just slagged them off for the last 3 minutes saying it's an awful season, they're still way comfortable. 15th with 40 points, played 37, won 10, drawn 10, lost 17, scored 43 goals this season, conceded 61. They've conceded the second highest number of goals outside of the 3 relegated clubs, and it's a big drop-off. Last year they finished 9th, even with the uncertainty around David Moyes. There's only 1 win in the last 5 last season. They still finished 9th on 52 points. They're coming into this one with only 1 win in their last 10 games. That was against Man United. The last 5 overall is 2 draws, Spurs and Southampton, 2 defeats, Forest and Brighton, and that United win that I just mentioned. Their away form is very meh, 15th with 20 points, so just over 1 point per game on the road. Played 18, won 5, drawn 5, lost 8, -7 goal difference away from the London Stadium. They come into it again, not in great form. I mentioned the Man United victory. That was away. 1 draw away at Everton and 3 defeats at Brighton, Liverpool and Wolves. And yeah, Potter's gone in there, taken over. It's not gone well. I guess when they won that Europa Conference League, it was 2023, the end of that season, wasn't it? Obviously, Jared Bowen goes through in the last minute and wins it. And they are then set up perfectly. I know Declan Rice moved to Arsenal, but they are then set up perfectly to kind of push on, aren't they? And become a best of the rest, we used to call Everton for all those years under David Moyes, didn't we? Trying to break into the top 6, top 5, whatever it is. But I guess this year, they've been massively overtaken by the likes of Forest, Brighton, Fulham, Brentford. Those sides have all moved ahead of them, and they're kind of in those 7th, 8th, 9th position, which is probably where West Ham kind of see themselves. And I guess there's a danger now that, you know, another bad summer of recruitment, another poor managerial appointment if Potter doesn't work out and they decide to replace him early next season, could well mean that they are kind of left behind by these progressive sides who are kind of moving at speeds far quicker than West Ham. They are the oldest squad in the league with an average age of 28. They've got to try and sort that out. They're already doing that. 4 players have been announced they're leaving, and they're all of age. We'll discuss that a bit later on. And I just get I know all last season there was this big debate, wasn't there, about David Moyes, and it was very much the media was saying, be careful what you wish for, and it's exactly what we had with Mick McCarthy and the end of his reign here. And unless you're watching the game week in, week out as a fan of that club, no one can really have too much of an opinion on that. But I think no West Ham fan is going to disagree that the 2 appointments, Lopetegui and Potter, haven't worked out at all. So it's crucial that Potter has a very good window, very good pre-season, hits the ground running next year, or you're looking at potentially your 3rd manager in a 18-month period, and no stability is going to come from that kind of turnover.
Well, that, to your point, so Fulham, managerial continuity, Bournemouth to an extent, you know, Brighton, you could put pretty much anyone who's an excellent head coach in charge of that team, because off the field is so sorted out and switched on, isn't it? You know, they're being overtaken by teams who are just making better decisions, and that continuity is, you know, the squads. There's been how many transfer windows under the last 3 managers? 5 or 6, all brought in their own players. Someone mentioned in the chat, Max Kilman, for example, brought in by Lopetegui because he managed him at Wolves and trusted him. He's not a David Moyes player or possibly a Graham Potter player. You know, excellent footballer, of course, but managers bring in players to suit their style of play. And no one thought the Lopetegui move was going to work out, did we? Did anyone look at that and go, he's going to have them fired up the league? Lopetegui had good pedigree, certainly international and with Spain, but it just doesn't make sense. And as I say, these decisions off the field are what's hurting them. And actually, if we want to go deal with Potter now, I think it's actually the fact they've enticed him to join them is really good. But his success at Brighton was because there was a really coherent strategy off the field. I don't think necessarily he was the heart of all of it. He was a big part of it, but he needs to be backed. And, he's not a manager that comes in like he's not a fixer. And therefore, I think there's some growing pains that West Ham have to go through to get the best out of Potter. And he needs the summer to recruit, to your point. So I think if they are sensible in the summer, if they clear out some of, we'll talk about a few departures expected this summer, get that average age down, bring in players that are going to work in the way that Potter wants to play. I think they'll be okay. But the trouble is, owners like that panic, don't they? And who's to say that they won't, do that? They react and press the emergency button too prematurely next season. To your point, and a fan base that's very vocal puts that pressure on, don't they? So it's kind of delicately poised, isn't it? But I think Potter might be a good appointment if they back him. Last time out, Seb, in the league. What a goal by Jared Bowen, by the way, but ultimately completely meaningless.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, absolutely excellent goal by Bowen. If you haven't seen it, go and have a look at it. It was the consolation in a 2-1 defeat at home to Nottingham Forest, the last game at the London Stadium this season. Morgan Gibbs-White, after an absolute howler playing out from the back by Alphonse Areola. And then Nikola Maglenkovic header from an Anthony Elanga corner, which took 6 minutes for VAR to clear it. Brilliant. Can't wait not to have to deal with that next season. And then Jared Bowen, very late on, 4 or 5 minutes to go, sort of flicks it with his left foot up in the air and just kind of volleys it into the goal. Absolutely top class from a top class player. 61% possession, kind of Potter ball numbers as you would expect. 16 shots, 5 on target, 0 big chances created by West Ham. So yeah, if you were going to sum up kind of potentially all kind of, what's the saying, all something and no knickers, whatever it was, that might be.
I've no idea where you're going there, mate.
I can't remember what the saying is, but that might be an example of that. Sort of lots of stuff.
No trousers. I don't know.
Yeah, why not? In and around the box stuff, but when you actually come to the business end of football, very, very little.
Right. Okay. That's really thrown me as well. I don't know where he's going there, folks. If you can translate in the chat, do let us know. We talked about the managerial situation, Seb. Is there anything else we want to add there?
Well, he signed a 2.5-year deal. So going to your point, they wanted to give him a deal to the end of the season, a 6-month contract, and he refused that, and they had to offer him a 2.5 deal. So that ties in with your theory. That's the one. Thank you, Sharon. Fur coat and no knickers. That ties into your theory that he obviously sees himself as a builder, and things do take time there. He's managed 18 games. He's only won 4, drawn 5, and lost 9. 0.94 points per game. So he's tracking under 38 points across a full season. We've already mentioned Lopetegui. He was dispensed with at the start of January. Potter been out of the game for 20 months after his 7-month spell at Chelsea. Chelsea obviously paid 21 million quid for him in kind of autumn 2022, was it? I think it must have been, and dispensed with him in 2023. So great job at Brighton, no doubting that. Kind of kept them above the waterline for a couple of years and then established them into 9th before moving to Chelsea. A long spell out of the game. He probably had to get back in at this point. You can be out of the game for too long. I think he had a few kind of links with England potentially and Chelsea maybe. But yeah, taken over at West Ham, but hasn't really affected any change if we're being honest.
No, wait and see though. That's my expert eye, which basically is not expert at all because of.
We'll have to sit here. We'll be sitting here in one of the international breaks, won't we? Next year, and we'll have to have this conversation again, depending if they're 7th and they're loving him again, or if he's been binned off.
Yeah, well, I guess it can go one of two ways, can't it? And you and I are hedging our bets on either side of the coin, aren't we? I'm going to put this out there. I don't have a particularly fond memory of watching Ipswich Town play West Ham. I think there's one game that we're going to talk about that I do remember, hence the shirt that I'm wearing. But in the early Premier League era, I remember a draw or two. I think 2000, it was a draw, wasn't it? And the Matt Holland goal, but getting well beaten on Sky to home to West Ham. Playoff memories, not so good. Alan Pardew being a bit of a dick. Marlon Harewood tearing us a new one. Bobby Zamora tearing us a new one. Not fun times against West Ham. So did the stats bear that out?
Yeah, 21 wins for Town, 20 draws between the two, and 28 wins for West Ham. As always, push you towards the excellent Blue Monday Rewind, the last one of the season with Craig and Dave. They do focus on the last Premier League meeting, which was a 3-2 defeat in October 2001. Paolo Di Canio, Freddie Canute, and Jermaine Defoe with the goals. Herman Hreiderson and Matt Holland for us in front of a derelict North stand. 1-1 the season before, Marcus Stewart and Paolo Di Canio. The last meeting at Portman Road, January 2012, a 5-1 victory for Ipswich, completely out of the blue on transfer deadline day that evening. And you just mentioned the successive playoff meetings in 2004, 2005, both going West Ham's way, 2-1 in 2004 and 4-2 in 2005, although we did win that home leg, didn't we, in 2000?
Yeah, we could have put the two legs together of the 2 seasons, a 1-0 away, 1-0 at home and a 2-2 away, wasn't it? Back from 2-0.
Fought back from 2-0 down.
Yeah, you kind of thought our time is now, but nah,
wasn't to be. Right, for the last time this season, I can feel Neil kind of leaning into his screen with anticipation. Line-up quiz time. Do you want the shirt you are wearing, the 5-1 victory from January 2012, or do you want the 1-0 victory from the playoff first leg in 2000?
Well, should we do both?
Or do you want them both?
Should we do them both?
Let's go crazy.
End of the season.
Yeah, let's go nuts. Do 2012 first.
Spirits are in the sky.
There's a bonus for 2012 because there are 3 players in the West Ham squad in the West Ham who featured for Town. If you can get all 3, I'll award you an extra 100 FPL points. You can't Google.
No, I'm hiding the chat. I want to do this properly. Are you giving me
the Town lineup first?
Are you seriously giving me 100 FPL points?
I'll give you 100 FPL points if you can get the 3 players. So 2012, 4, 2, 3, 1, go.
Right. So this is the Paul Jewell banter era.
Yeah.
So Roy Keane recently gone as well, I think the season before. So there will still be some of those.
This is a year after Roy Keane.
I'm going to put it out there that Cresswell would have been involved because that's a Paul Jewell signing.
Left back.
So Sonko, Inga Marson, that lot.
Songo,
Yeah. Blimey. Lee Martin, Roy Keane era, Greg Ledbetter involved.
No.
Carlos Edwards.
Right back. Yeah. So you've got 3 of the back 4.
Full up in goal.
No.
Chopra scored, didn't he?
Yep, Chopra.
And Jet scored. Although,
Jet got 2.
We could call him J. Emmanuel Thomas until he gives us a reason not to call him Jet. And in the news this week, look that one up. I'm not going to talk about it. What else? Lee Bowyer.
No.
So for West Ham, was one of the players Frank Nouble.
It was. Frank Nouble was on the bench. Yeah. Well done. 2 more for them, but you can come back to them if you want to. So you need the 2 central midfielders, the left-sided centre-back, and the left winger for Town. 2 of the players were stalwarts of the playoff campaign in 2014-15.
Oh, so was Chambo in there?
No.
Yeah. No. Blimey. Sorry. What was the clue again? They were in the
left-sided centre-back and the left winger. Tommy Smith, yeah. The left winger was playing out of position. We kind of shoved him onto the left wing until Mick took over and went, that's ridiculous, and put him up front, and he started to score a shed load of goals.
Murphy.
Darryl Murphy, yeah.
Okay. Was he there then?
Yeah. We had him on loan for like 3 years in a row, didn't we, before we signed
one of the loans?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And
so 2 central midfielders. One, I don't think you'll get. The other one of Mick's favourites, bit limited, but committed as a Town player, Town fan.
Luke Hyam,
alongside
Ryan and Dorr.
No,
I always chuck him in, don't I? Just for fun. No.
Andy Drury was.
Andy Drury. If you say Luton, I'd have got that. Let me check the chat and see what folk are saying. So
you need to get the other 2. Can you get the other 2 West Ham for 100 FPL points? Can you get the other 2 West Ham players? You've got Frank Nouble. Can you get the other 2 that played for Ipswich Town? Played might be a loose term for one of them. I'm not actually sure he might have done, but he was certainly registered and we did sign him.
It wasn't Harewood, was it?
No.
I haven't mentioned him. Can I get positions at least?
Central midfielder, who is still at the club in a not in a playing capacity.
I've said Lebo, haven't I? But that's not him. Yeah, no.
Mark Noble.
Oh wow,
Mark Noble. On loan in Midtjylland's first season.
Of course.
He's the director of football there at the moment.
Yeah.
The other one was an attacking midfielder, very highly rated. I think he came through at Peterborough, and West Ham nicked him. I think we signed him. I'm not sure. He might have made the bench. He might have played in the League Cup, but
no. Can I check the chat? I'm not going to get it.
You're forfeiting your 100 FPL points.
I am.
Jack Collison.
Oh, Jack Collar, I would have never got. I remember him now. Fair play to Neil, by the way, who was straight in there with, like I was, with Nuble.
We'll have to invite Neil on one week, and I'll just throw one of these in and see how quickly he is before he just smashes it out.
Yeah, how about that? Well, maybe. So if you like the idea of this, Neil, maybe we'll get you on it. Maybe we'll make it a competitive thing, and you can record your guesses. Seb will let you know what it is in advance, and you and I can face off, and we'll see how we get on there. We did have a Henderson. Did we be the keeper, by the way, in the first one?
Oh, no, you did the keeper. Sorry, no. Double-barreled surname.
Oh, Lee Barrett, then.
Aaron Lee Barrett, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was not... Is that the season we lost to Norwich at home, wasn't it? Yeah.
5-1, yeah.
Bullard was yet to sign, presumably, at that point. Okay. No.
He might have signed on that day, maybe, because it was that transfer window, wasn't it? I can't remember.
Yeah.
No, I think he's gone by that. I think he signed the year before. And
Fair play to another Neil, who I think got Noble before you mentioned it. And Simon Arstown keeper. So, yeah, Lee Barrett. Have we taken quite a while to do that, haven't we? What was the other one?
Fire through 2004 quickly, because you'll get that really easily, won't you? Surely.
Davis.
Yep.
Santos. Diallo. No. Which year were we doing?
2000. This is 2003, 2004. This is the 1-0 home win.
Oh, the 1-0 home win. So Naylor and Bent.
Yep.
Magilton.
Yep.
Vilnius, I think.
Yep.
Now I'm struggling a little bit. I've been in the wrong era. Give me some help.
Not much pace in the two. You need the two centre halves and the left back. Left back was an academy.
Matt Elliott in centre back.
Matt Elliott was alongside John McGreal.
Matt Richards.
Yep, torn apart 12 months later by Marlon Harewood.
Ian Westlake then.
Yep, left wing. Central midfield, scored probably 10 goals that season, about 20 in the season after. Yeah. And then last appearance for the club, underrated player in the right wing position, left on a free to go to Leeds, I think.
Jermaine Wright?
Jermaine Wright, yep.
Nice, okay. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, and David Bergen's here with a super chat, €10 super chat. Great to have you back with us, David. Thank you for getting involved. Thank you for your generosity as always. We appreciate you. Thank you also to who did the earlier one? It was Rob, wasn't it? Thank you to Rob, who's got involved as well. But David, thank you. We appreciate it. If you want to do likewise, there is a button in the chat box to do it. But as we say, a thumbs up, very much appreciated. Neil's getting in there. Pablo wasn't involved, was he? Richards was. So we'll do it, Neil. We'll do it properly. In fact, we'll do it as an exclusive Telegram feature just for you.
See how good you are, Neil.
We'll
under
make
pressure.
it happen.
Yeah.
Seb will sort it all out. He'll be in touch. Right, moving us on to. Do we want to talk about the 4-1 from earlier in the season?
No, it was 4-1. It was crap. It was a crap stadium, and it's the crappiest away day of the season for me. Next, move on.
And at that point, there was definite dysfunction, and we were talking about, was it Kudus who I think was subbed at half time, wasn't he? Or got into trouble and they scored.
In the previous, he'd had a dressing room bust up with Lopetegui before our game, and then he scored against us. Yeah,
and did a sit down on a chair celebration or something stupid like that. So, in terms of personnel, Seb, probably was it loans in and loans out? That's the story.
Well,
January.
Yeah, Evan Ferguson joined. Obviously, has that link from Potter coming through at Brighton. He joined to kind of fix their central striking options. When they go for strikers, they have a very definitive type. It's a target man. It's physically strong and direct. So they bought him on loan. Has done virtually nothing. Barely featured. James Ward-Prowse was recalled from his loan at Nottingham Forest. And departures wise, they recalled Maxwell Cornet from Southampton and they loaned him to Genoa. And yeah, just the window hasn't worked. We sat here in the September show and we discussed the players they bought in. Nicholas Fulkrug, bought in as a striker, has made 5 starts. Luis Guilherme, a right winger from Brazil, 1 start. Crescencio Somerville, 7 starts. The players they bought in last summer, especially the attacking options, have just barely featured this summer, and perhaps that explains why they find themselves where they are.
Yep, and Neil mentioning some departures this summer, of which one is Aaron Cresswell, who probably will play, won't he, on Sunday?
I would think so. Yeah, they've announced 4 players are moving on from the David Moyes kind of era: Aaron Cresswell, Lucas Fabianski, Danny Ings, and Vladimir Soufal. Bit of symmetry there. I think Aaron Cresswell's first ever game was a pre-season friendly against us at Portman Road I think it was a 0-0 draw in the summer of 2014, just after he signed. So I think that's a bit of symmetry against us and at Portman Road for his first and last West Ham appearance.
Would you have him back?
If Leif Davis moves on, he's been linked, hasn't he, with Nottingham Forest. Cresswell must be 33, 34 now, but we know the wicked delivery's got on his left foot, but he's not a marauding left back anymore, is he? He's a left-sided centre-half in a 3. So if you're going to play Connor Townsend and want a reliable kind of deputy who wants to stay in the south, 20 grand a week, not going to break the bank, solid for a year, why not?
Yeah, there you go. Colin, before we go too far, mentioning 4-1 game at the end of the 75 season, slaughtered the Hammer, as he said, but would have rather won the FA Cup. Colin, was that the game where Barry Davis, with Beattie, basically ran from halfway? And Barry Davis's commentary was, look at the power, what a goal, what a goal. I'll put the clip up later, but Colin, if you can confirm that's the one, I will share that on socials later on. Do you want to do a tactical pad, Seb? Give us an idea of how Potter is trying to set his team up.
Potter. Yeah, bring it up one last time. It's different. It's not a 4-2-3-1, everyone. It is instead a 3-4-1-2 or a 3-4-2-1, depending on the availability of various strikers and various kind of attacking midfielders. As we already mentioned, Aaron Cresswell is tucked in these days. The days of being a marauding left back are behind him. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, player of the year for the Hammers, kind of fills in that position there. And it's a slightly advanced striker behind two kind of natural strikers, it's fair to say. Jared Bowen and Mohamed Kudus can do their best work out wide, but like I mentioned a minute ago, their striking options are a little bit limited. If we roll it forward to the average player positions, again, it's one of these sides that look to clutter the centre of the pitch. And interesting, like I just mentioned, with the two kind of with the lack of a natural number 9, the two most advanced players, understandably, Jared Bowen and Mohamed Kudus, but they're both kind of wide, take up these wide positions. We all know Jared Bowen's party piece. He did it against us in the game back in September. He will look to drive into the box down that right-hand channel, cutting onto his left foot and bend it past the goalkeeper. But there is kind of a lack of a central striker in these kind of graphics. Wan-Bissaka and Soufal as wing backs, kind of, they're not stay at home, they're not overly advanced, they'll kind of sit onto the halfway line. And Rodriguez, the Argentinian signed on a free transfer from Spain, will sit in with Max Kilman as Todibo and Cresswell. The centre halves do kind of split to provide a bit of width. Move it forward to where they touch the ball most, and it's kind of more recognisable as basically a 3-5-2, just like the graphic originally said. Yeah, Souček kind of drops in. Interestingly, that Wan-Bissaka in this graphic, where they touch the ball most, pushes right up and supports Bowen as the most advanced player. And Kudus does take up that kind of central role to look to get onto the ball, with Rodriguez, like I mentioned, defending those two centre halves. So yeah, out of possession, kind of a bit cluttered in the centre of the pitch. In possession, very much keeping the 3-5-2 formation. They're not amazing pressers, 6th lowest for pressing intensity. They do love to come down that right-hand side because of Jared Bowen. They are 3rd for attacks down the right and 3rd for shots down the right as well. They still don't mind going a little bit direct. They are 4th highest for long balls per game, kind of a hangover of the David Moyes squad, I would suggest there. Chance creation is a real issue for them so far this season. 16th for chances created. They only take 13 shots per game, which is kind of 13th in the division. -12 XG versus actual, and 26 goals scored from open play is the 6th lowest in the league. So they've got a lot of issues around chance creation and attacking numbers.
Yeah, I was going to make some comments there, but they've not worked out for me when I've picked holes in individuals. So I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself, lest I curse us. But it does look like opportunity to get in behind Seb from that graphic is definitely there if you pick the right players. And I've just got your analysis from last week about how Leicester will attack down the right-hand side, ringing in my ears as well. We talked about Justin, didn't we? And I think I mentioned McAteer.
No, it was that they were vulnerable down the right-hand side, and they really were, because Leif Davis had acres in front of him.
That was it. Sorry, that was it. Yeah,
we just couldn't do anything with it all game, unfortunately.
Yeah, we didn't make anything of it. Yep. You wanted to mention a kind of some before and after stats between Lopetegui and Potter?
Just a very quick overview of what's changed since Graham Potter came in. Possession is up 7%. It's gone from 46% to 53%. XG and shots per game have both dropped, and long balls has dropped. So he's trying to get them to retain the ball more and implement a kind of shorter passing style to what Moyes and Lopetegui in particular kind of had them doing. That's the things he's trying to change, but as we've just discussed, it might take more than a preseason to get that kind of stuff across. Key players for the last time this season, it'll be me reading out names that you've all heard of for many, many years, and next season we'll go back to actual players people haven't heard of, and I could try and unearth some gems. Jared Bowen, 12 goals, 7 assists. Everyone knows what he is going to do. I don't need to dwell too much on him. Thomas Souček's having a decent season, 9 goals, 1 assist, excellent in the air, a real threat from set pieces, playing in that sort of number 10, slightly more advanced role. Mohamed Kudus has not hit the heights of last season, only 4 goals and 3 assists so far this season. He can play wide or he can go through the middle, but I'd imagine he'll be one to move on in the summer. Lucas Paquetá, another player who has not hit the heights, very much involved, averages 60 touches per game, but only has 4 goals and no assists so far this season. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I've praised already. He is the player of the year. Good debut season. Can play left wing back or right wing back. He's slotting in on the left at the moment. 2 goals, 4 assists. Aaron Cresswell, we have to say, well done to, what a buy. 3.75 million was it they paid for him? 11 years, 368 appearances.
Wow.
Won the Europa Conference League, obviously. So a great servant to the club who'll be moving on. Alphonse Areola might be the goalkeeper, but Lucas Fabianski didn't get a run out at the London Stadium to say goodbye, whereas Ings, Soufal and Cresswell were all involved. Fabianski wasn't, so maybe he'll come in for a final goodbye. I'm not sure. If not, it'll be Areola. Howler last weekend.
Forest, wasn't it? Muric,
yeah,
moment,
Howler. We're kicking it straight to Morgan Gibbs-White. Only kept 4 clean sheets this season, -5 in the goals prevented stats. A couple of injuries. Crescencio Somerville, the championship player of the year last year, apparently out for the season, as is Mikel Antonio as he recovers from that car crash back in the winter.
That was serious, wasn't it? Yeah, good to see that he's was okay out of that, and wish him well on his recovery. Nice one. We'll be back to talk about how Ipswich might fare. And to be fair, Seb, it's probably we're making similar conversations in terms of possible departures and how that features in McKenna's thinking. And how we might pick an 11. We'll be back to talk all about that in a second.
Blue Monday is brought to you in partnership with Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for property and business law. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or just need legal guidance, our dedicated team has got you covered. Trust our award-winning customer service team to handle your legal matters with care and expertise. Find out more at atwells.com or visit us at our offices in Ipswich, Colchester, London, and our new location in Woodbridge.
Thank you to Atwells. Thank you to One Stop Badges too. More about them in the link in the description, along with a 10% promo for One Stop Badges if you want to get your kind of version of what we have. And if you want to get one of them, come and find Seb and I at West Ham. Or if you send us a stamped address envelope to a PO box address, which we don't have, we might be able to post them out to people. I don't know, but they will still be around next season. We do have plenty. We did order some additional stock, but do come and find us if you want them before the summer break. We mentioned Blue Monday Rewind. The flagship show will be back live on Sunday night after the event. Ben, Dave, and I think me joining in the third seat. Everyone being very scarce and absent at the moment, and Seb will be on the road. He would have been much more preferred to me. So it will be, me, Ben and Dave on Sunday night. So do come and join us there. As always, do give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe because we'll have plenty of summer content, transfers, kits, pre-season friendlies, all coming around pretty quick.
Squad numbers.
Squad. Seb's doing a squad number podcast. Not for me, Clive. But plenty of stuff coming your way over the summer. Of course, the frequency is going to drop down a little bit. It'd be nice for us all to have a little bit of a break from football and for us also having to talk about it on here, but very much looking forward to next season. Hope you guys stick with us through the summer and hopefully more positivity to discuss next season. Telegram available throughout the season, though the conversation continues over there. Transfer chat off, just unbounded about everything. Leif Davis, who knows what's going on there at the moment. So do come and join us. Everything you need, all the links to everything about the podcast, all of our feeds, our socials, Blue Monday, itfc.co.uk. So what's you've kind of put here, Seb, strongest 11 available, question mark, whether Leicester might get turned over at home to Bournemouth. More on that in the FPL feature in a bit. Is it a farewell lineup or is it a strongest one, Seb?
Walton, Twanzebe, Wolfenden, Burgess. No, it
Love
will
it.
be. I think the fact that we can still finish 18th, the fact it's worth £3 million, and McKenna will be desperate to get that second home win of the season. They will go for the strongest lineup, and that does mean the likes of Enciso, I'd imagine, will start. I presume we will get a send off for those players likely to leave us. So Luongo probably will be on the bench. He came off the bench, didn't he, at the King Power last weekend? I'd imagine he will.
Should have got more minutes, Seb.
Yeah,
Luongo.
I do.
I think it's maybe a hindsight thing now, but Leif Davis has come under some. I've been reading the articles the last few weeks since he's come back from his suspension. He's had a real tough time of it by the sounds of it, and really affected by some criticism. But the style of play that we've established in the Championship, which we've continued, relied on that midfield cover, and he just hasn't had any. So, do you think McKenna might have regretted not shoving Luongo in and seeing if that would help us out at all or not?
I think there could have been times, yeah. I mean, he would patrol that left-hand channel so well, wouldn't he? And kind of cover Burgess in the left centre-back role and allow Davis to go forward. And I'm sure, I haven't got the numbers in front of me, but I'm sure there've been, 26 points dropped from winning positions. If I look at the data versus, did we try and bring on the likes of Luongo to see games out? Potentially not. And I think he probably has been a little bit underused this season. Obviously, legend for what he's done for the last 3 years, last 2.5 years. So I'd like to see him get on the pitch as a bit of a farewell. Presumably he won't start, but he might well be able to come off the bench to allow us to give us our appreciation. And I guess, do we give, Delap is going, so I imagine he will come back into the starting lineup after last weekend's dropping out for George Hurst. Burgess, Jacob Greaves wasn't great at left centre back alongside he was alongside Dara O'Shea last weekend, didn't have his best game. So if Burgess is going to move on, I would like him to start to again be one of these players we can give a farewell to. Nathan Broadhead, kind of rumours last summer he might depart. Will he move on this summer, looking to play more regularly? Maybe, in which case I'd like him to start again. I guess I'm being too sentimental because we do have to win a game of football and it's worth £3 million and we want to finish 18th, etc. But I would like to get a decent send-off to some of these players that have given us 2 years of absolute joy. But I do expect McKenna to play the likes. If you want to put my predicted 11 up on the screen, I do expect McKenna to go with the strongest 11 to try and win the game. And that means Palmer in goal, Twanzebe, O'Shea. I would bring in Burgess to start because Greaves I didn't think was great last weekend. Leif Davis looked much more like his old self away at Leicester, marauding down that wing. If that effort that hit the post had gone in after 6 minutes, it could have been a very different game. But he will need to be on his game at the weekend because of Jared Bowen down that right-hand channel for West Ham. Morsey and Kiyust, I assume, will continue in central midfield. Hutchinson down the right, and Ciso and Hutchinson were having so many kind of rows in the second half when things weren't going their way. So we'll see if those two can kind of get some sort of partnership in the last game. Jack Clark can have another start left wing, and Liam Delap for the last time up front in an Ipswich Town shirt, I would assume. And then let's give the likes of Broadhead, if he's going, Luongo, for example, give him decent send-offs if they come off the pitch. What do you do? Do you go sentimentality, or do you agree with me that he'll play the strongest 11 and say goodbye to these heroes as and when as possible?
Yeah, I think your approach is correct. And poor Jack Clark, I guess in the team and then slips over in the build-up to the goal. I mean, there's a few moments of intervention there where...
Oh, it's not, you can't blame him for the goal. Falling over is unlucky.
But as I say, poor guy just can't do anything right, can he? And I would love for him to score. I'd love for Delap to sign off with a goal as well. It would be great for a moment. And then bring on, some players to say goodbye if that is the case. And very quickly, Seb, Cam Burgess linked with Rangers this week. I would love it, to quote Kevin Keegan, if we keep Cam Burgess. I again, underrated. I know he's featured a lot this season. We've talked about him probably being the most improved player from the moment he joined the club to where he is now. But there's a place for Burgess in that team. I guess if he wants to move on, and he's been linked with moves to La Liga, hasn't he? And, I think he's got family from Scotland. He's got links to Scotland, I think, as well as being an Australian international. So can't begrudge him a move there. But if in terms of his use for the club, surely he can. There's another season in him for us.
Oh, very much so. But yeah, I guess it will depend the value the club are placing on him. If they're offering him a 1-year deal with an option, but he can go and get 2 years with an option up in Scotland or in Girona or whatever he wants to do, then he has to look after himself. I think he would, if he were to stay. I would presume that he'd probably start a lot of games next season. Jacob Greaves has kind of shown it in spells this year, and obviously he was in the Championship's Team of the Year last year. He's an excellent Championship level defender, but Greaves has been there, done it. He has a habit of scoring important goals when it matters. I'm thinking Bolton away in the League One campaign. I'm thinking obviously Coventry last season, and we know McKenna likes that left-right footed balance in his centre halves, and that big switch that we used to see out to Wes Burns. I haven't really seen it this year because of the injury, but that big switch out to the right winger to kind of take on the full back, and that relationship, that covalent bond, to quote the great Harry from Bath, with Leif Davis is something that can be a formidable weapon in the league below. So absolutely, if it's coming down to contract length and the club feel they can get better value elsewhere, then so be it. But if it was me and he doesn't want silly money or a silly length contract, I wouldn't really have an issue if it was a 2 years, for example.
We want you to stay, Cam. I see predictions are starting to appear in the chat. That's brilliant. We are going to finish with those. If you've got thoughts on lineup, how you tread the line as Seb has set out between trying to win that final game versus sentimentality? Or can you have both? Can you have your cake and eat it too? Give us your thoughts on that in the chat. For one last time, possibly forever, ever, here's our FPL feature. I hear that jingle in my nightmares every single night. Thank you to Brett Vale, our pre-FPL feature partner for the entirety of the season. The summer is here. Get out there and play some golf. Give a trip down to Brett Vale in Constable Country. And they've got all kinds of deals going on for Blue Monday subscribers. Group rates and society packages available. Bacon roll coffee involved, all kinds of stuff like that. Give them a call, 01473 310 718, or head to the website and links on our socials. Link in the chat too. Perfect time for some golf. So go and give Brett Vale, go and have 18 hours at Brett Vale. What better way to spend the day apart from maybe listening to Seb and I talk about West Ham? I wasted a bench boost last week, Seb. I'm going to put it out there. I had injuries in my lineup, and therefore players rotated into the squad to fill holes, and I ended up getting 0 points from my bench. So wasted a bench boost, but fortunately didn't lose the week, but didn't win it either. So a stalemate last week, not a classic for either of us, but given I wasted a bench boost, all a little bit disappointing. So Seb comfortably 300 points clear, and the head-to-head record pretty imperious as well. How are you finishing the season with a bench boost? Oh, he's going out swinging. Who cares?
I'll be real. We both forgot to play this new manager chip, didn't we?
I don't think
you kind of hate the feature, and I was so far in front, it didn't really matter at any point. I've playing bench boost because I have to. It's the last weekend of the season. I made a few transfers. I've bought in Marmouche up front. Did you see his goal, by the way, in midweek?
I haven't yet.
Julio Enciso lost goal of the season that night. It's a phenomenal strike. So I bought in Marmouche because Isak had an exclamation mark and is likely out, and I've bought in Kiwior for Saliba, who is definitely out, and Brian and Buemo for Alex Iobi, I think it was, because I had some money to spend and some free transfers. So go all out. I've played bench boost, and I want to maintain that 300-point barrier. That's my target to beat you by. That's my aim for the season.
And Salah's the captain. He's had pretty poor returns in the last few weeks, hasn't he?
He has, but I'm kind of figuring that Palace are going to be probably still hungover after the win last weekend, and it's at Anfield, and they're going to lift the trophy, etc. So I back him to get me a couple of goals, hopefully. Well,
I've decided to play all of my ITFC players because why not just enjoy the last minutes of FPL and Ipswich in the Premier League until hopefully a couple of seasons' time. So I'm going to chuck everyone in there. But we haven't talked about Ben Johnson playing against his old club. So I hope that happens, because otherwise another wasted position there. Hopefully Guimaraes comes in if he doesn't get minutes. I brought in Evan Nilsson because they're playing Leicester at home, and I hope they smash him. But otherwise, as you were, disappointing.
Keeping Haaland as your captain.
Yeah, I mean, at some point he's got to score a goal. It's got to go off his arse or something, hasn't it? You know, he was crap in the FA Cup final, wasn't he? Albeit, do you want to talk about the Dean Henderson moment? I think everyone accepts there's a red card, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definite red card. Yeah.
So maybe a bit hard done by there, but he should have taken the penalty, shouldn't he? And that's what's cost him. So it's his fault. And he's costing me the FPL.
Erling, if you're listening, you've had a crap FPL few weeks and you bottled the penalty in the cup final.
You've ruined our FPL feature, and Brett Vale are furious about it. Not my words, the words of Brett Vale. We'll be back never to talk about how this week went, because we know that's all done.
So when am I crowned the winner?
You've basically crowned the winner now. The situation is that you embarrass me on the opening day next season with it. But you're away, aren't you? For Wrexham at home. So our first pre-match show together.
Okay.
I'm wearing a t-shirt of some kind, am I not?
We'll see. Watch this space.
It needs to be something that can be visible on the podcast, by the way. Otherwise, it's a waste of space. So yeah, I will have my forfeit situation sorted out for the start of next season. But we'll be back and do a podcast. I'll host your squad numbers thing. I'll press the buttons for you, and you can say, "Oh, 48's too big a squad number. Oh, number 10 should be an attacking midfielder." And then you can say,
"Oh, it's like you've read my script already."
Oh, on the FPL feature, yeah. Well, we're back next week. We won't. Don't care. I've gone. I'm in Buckaroo Game Gear mode. It's the summer holidays, guys. We don't care. Let's have that annoying music once more. I'm D-Mob happy. I don't care anymore. I'm going out swinging. Who cares? But thank you, everyone, if you made it this far. The final 5 minutes is for you. Get your predictions in. Any thoughts on the lineup? Any feedback for podcast features next season to replace the FPL? It will not be back. And if we get promoted next season, it will still not be back. So if you've got any ideas, look at his face. Look at his face.
There's a championship one now. I keep telling you, and I know you're not interested, but we could do that one. That's a more level playing field.
Cares. No one cares about that. Or maybe who knows? I'm just gonna go through the comments and see what we have. Please be polite. I'm not reading them in advance. So if you put it on the teleprompter, Ron Burgundy will read it. Simon, welcome to Simon. He's gone for a 5-1, repeat of the 5-1. Well, should I wear the shirt on Sunday, by the way? Is this the shirt that I should wear? Should I try and manifest the 5-1? Help Simon out. He says, win that extra 3 million quid. A happy home day at last. AD's going for a 3-1. There's some confidence in the chat. There always is. We didn't have the confidence in our predictions the last few weeks, Seb, and probably we were right, weren't we? So there you go. David asking who's coming in. Joe F seemed to suggest our targets are big for the transfer window. Do you want to, if you were writing the checks, if you were in Mark Ashton's shoes, Seb, what's the first position you're strengthening? I think I know the answer, but I'll ask.
Central midfield. Everyone's going to say the same thing, aren't they? We need at least 2 central midfielders, depending on Twanzebe and Burgess. They probably need at least 2 centre halves, and we need a number 9 to kind of, work with George Hurst, with Ali Ahmadi as a bit of a backup, presuming he comes back in. So yeah, I think it'll be another exciting summer. I probably think we'll spend 30 to 40 million quid, I would imagine. But then to be fair, this time last year, I sat here and said, we're going to spend 50 million quid this summer. It's insane. And we spent 130. So yeah, I'd imagine, we were after Flynn Downs in January. We know that one, they might revisit that. Maybe look to look abroad a little bit, but, trust the process. We have signed an excellent championship squad in theory. I think we forget how good the likes of Jaden Philogene, Jack Clark, those players were at this level next season. So we kind of saw glimpses in that Coventry game, and let's hope they can all hit the ground running with a decent pre-season and fire us away. But there will be incomings, and it will be exciting.
Got a Simon prediction for 3-0 Hammers. Bowen hat-trick. He says FBL points. He's looking. None of us are gone for Bowen. We generally avoid the opposition players, but that's a pretty maybe a safe call. I was about to say. You never know, but hopefully wrong, Simon. But I hope you understand why we say that. Streaky, quoting the Bible out of Seb. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Psalm 23. Chin up, Rich. He says, I don't care. It's Streaky. I packed up weeks ago. Colin's going for another 3-2. He's going for a 3-2. Sorry, I nearly went 3-3-1. Thank you for everything this season, Rich. And said, thank you, Colin, for being part of the conversation every week. We appreciate you. I saw your message earlier. Hope your recovery steps itself up. Sorry to hear about setback earlier in the week, but yeah, keep going, mate. And we'll no doubt see you around Portman Road at some point. What we've got here, Julian, just hope the Munners keep away next season. Unbelievable, the rubbish I've heard. Positivity, Seb, that's what we want. Bring back the positivity. Paul's got it right. Pin this bad boy. Can I be the first to say the FPL feature will not be missed? Quite agree with you, Paul. We've got a lineup prediction from David. I haven't counted whether there's 11 in there, Seb, but it looks similar to yours. He's Broadhead,
got
Luongo.
some sentiment. Yeah, David's gone down the sentimental route with Morsey and Luongo
Burgess
starting in midfield, Broadhead left midfield, Burgess left centre back. It's a nice mix. That's decent mix, to be fair.
Like that one. AD, thanks everyone at Blue Monday for great shows. Thank you, AD. See some of you in the Greyhound Sunday. Bring on the championship. David W. Hey, Rich, is your Ed Sheeran poster signed by Ed Sheeran? Mine is. Flex on the chat there from David. It is not, but I might just sign it myself. Who knows? It's going away from goal. What's that, Sam?
A reference to the Dean Henderson thing. I think we said it was a definite red card.
Oh, I see. Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, and he supported your, as you expect him to, your squad numbers podcast. So there you go. Colin predicting Wrexham mid-table. You heard it here first. Do you see Ben pop up in Welcome to Wrexham?
Did he? No, I missed that.
They've been quoting championship vloggers and EFL vloggers, and including Ben's prediction that they would make a splash but not feature in the top 6. So really harshly, like, well, we're going to show Ben and all these other vloggers and stuff like that. So blimey, you never expect to be on a or welcome to Wrexham, do you? But yeah, Ben was quoted, so go look for it. Our own Ben Bloom. We've got 3-1 Town, says Neil, my last hurrah. Trevor going for a 1-1. Sam's going for a 2-0. Seb, last game of the season win, assuming for us. Petra, thanks for a great season of shows, Rich and Seb. Thank you for getting involved, Petra. Appreciate you. Streaky's going for a 3-1. Usually goes for a win. Doesn't give us the working, but he's given us the working this week. We love it. David's going for a 2-2. 3-0 Towan, says David. And yeah, I'm going to just try and see if there's, if you want to, we're in the final minute, aren't we? So any more final predictions, get them in. Seb, do you want, you signed off last week. So if it's all right, I will sign off this week. So thank you, mate, as always, for all your hard work tonight, this season, the whole way through. Thank you for your company, your conversation, banter, all that stuff. And we'll be back next season when we're not on holiday, gallivanting around, folks. I'll be here day one. But yeah, thank you, mate, for everything this season, all your hard work. Appreciate it.
Thank you, mate. Thank you for hosting. Thank you to everybody who's got involved for the prediction show, for the pre-match show so far this season. A great little community that we've built. It'll be very different next year doing the research. It'll probably be a little bit harder, but it'll be nice to actually be able to hopefully unearth some gems and some hidden kind of stats to kind of give you guys some names and some things to go with to the game and discuss. I'll leave you with one little thing that I did pick up. West Ham have lost on the last day of the season for the last 3 years on the bounce. They are not a side that traditionally does that well in recent years on the final day. And for that reason, I will go for an Ipswich Town 2, West Ham 1 scoreline. And we will win our second home game of the season. Thank you, mate. Thank you for hosting. I'm sure I will see you at some point over the summer. Thank you to everybody. See you all soon. Thank you to Tess. If you missed it at the start, Tess, we appreciate your super chat that you posted during the week. Thank you so much for that. What's this from Sam? Don't worry, Rich. There were only 2 games this season. I didn't Ipswich to win. Didn't predict Ipswich to win. Don't know about that. Help us out, Sam. Go for it. Sam's a Liverpool fan, so I presume he means he didn't want us to win on 2 occasions. Oh,
I see. Yes, of course. Yeah, that Liverpool game feels like forever ago, doesn't it? All that positivity. Yeah, I'm pretty certain I thought we might spring a surprise that day. Little did I know. Colin's going for a 3-1 Bournemouth. I love a bit of that. But thank you, everyone, for getting involved. All the lovely comments in the chat. Thank you, folks, for getting involved. And as we've said many times here, it would just be us chatting to each other about football. So you guys bring the conversation to life. The debate continues on Telegram from now through all the summer. So get involved there if you want to continue it. But we will be back at various stages talking about squad numbers and more important things than that too. The flagship show will be back though Sunday night. Ben, Dave, and me as well to talk about West Ham after the fact. Hopefully signing off with some style, with some panache, with a victory. I'll go for a 2-1. I'm going to lob it in there as well. But thank you, everyone who's made it this far to the end of the season and of this episode as well. We've gone a bit long. But yeah, as I said, Seb, hopefully more positive things to talk about next season. Thank you, everyone. Look after yourselves and come on, you Blues.